Good morning, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. We had a great day yesterday. Some really nice trades and some also really nice messages from people in the Telegram that I got. I got a couple of texts, some people messaging me on Telegram. I shared some of them in the group of people winning and following the model that we've been talking about in these videos. So love to see that. Please keep sending them. Yeah, it's great. Thank you. And now moving on to today. Looks bad, doesn't it? Looks bad, but if you go back to the first video, maybe it was the first video or the second video, or one of the videos that's in this series, just go back a couple of days. This is exactly what we were talking about. This is exactly why I set these levels. This is the expected retracements. I said once we come back and test down here, if we come back and test down here, CT will be mega bearish. Everybody's telling you it's over. We're going to 40K. And that's the narrative we're starting to get. I've even been watching some, I was catching up on some traders that I like. I like to hear their opinions. I'm not going to name them because I'm about to say that I thought I was quite surprised by it, but they seem to also have been baited into this it's over scenario. There's no hope, nothing seems bullish. And that seems to be the narrative across the board. I don't agree. I don't agree because I think that this retracement yesterday, albeit not ideal if we want to continue up only, we want to go 150K and onwards. If we zoom out and just take a look at the bigger picture and put things into a bit of context, I don't think it's half as dramatic as people are making out, and that's what we'll cover in this video. But yeah, we predicted this already. We said, look, if we come down here, CT will be saying it's over, everybody will be mega bearish, nobody's interested, we'll be talking about pivoting to metals and eggs, and all kinds of nonsense that I'm hearing about, right? But for us, the game plan doesn't change. And as I say to you in every video, whether the market goes up or whether the market goes down, we're gonna make money. And we just play the cards that are in front of us and look at the highest probability opportunities. And that's what we're gonna do today. So let's get into something. Now, before I look at the levels, right, I've obviously updated this chart, as you can see. Let me just do something I don't normally do. We're on the 4 hour here, yeah? And people who know me will think this is blasphemy, what I'm doing. I'm not a trend line guy, right? But this looks like, let's just zoom out and have a look. Oh my God, it's over. Is it? Like, is it really? Like, why is it over? Because I mean, even if we're gonna be a trend line enjoyer, like, if I can get it, you can see how little I do trend lines from, like we're holding this. Like, this is still here. And look where we bounced from. We bounced straight off our low volume node here yesterday, 88,200. Boom, we're coming up to reclaim what would be this trend line, essentially, right? And now I know you might be thinking, oh, but look, the trend line's broken here and it means we're going to the downside. Okay, yeah, look, I'm not a trend line enjoyer. But let's just, again, when in doubt, we zoom out. Let's just look at this, for example. In fact, I'm even gonna go to the daily. Let's just get some common sense in our head now. It's a little bit messy with all of these lines now. Let's turn the magnet off and let's just have a look at this, right? Doom, 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 doom. And we're now sort of in this move here. How is that definitely over? Like, I know because people are expecting this, right? And then this, and then this. But that's no more likely than us going like this. Why is it all doom and gloom? Because again, none of us have a crystal ball. None of us know exactly what's going to happen. But why is this now definitely that, oh yeah, it's over? Because if you look on the higher time frame, like we're continuously putting in bullish upwards moves. Yeah, okay, here we haven't, but we're also not in the future yet. So why not that? Why not this here? And why definitely this here? Ask yourself that question. Okay? But let's go back down to the 4 hour. Let's just get our stuff back here. So let's just have a little recap of yesterday. So boom, we nuked through. We tried to hold this support at 89,200 later last night. I even tried to I tried to be a bottom picker, and I remembered very quickly why we don't do that. But originally we came down and tested the value area low. And I was like, right, I'm gonna wait for a bid here to fill in on the low volume node, which was here at 88,200. But how annoying this was that it came down and it bounced straight off the top here. And we started to retrace back up. Now, of course, you can see this is on the 4 hour, right? So you're thinking, Nigel, what the hell is this? It just nuked straight through, but it did come and make a nice bounce off here. But I just missed the entry because I was trying to galaxy brain it. Sorry, here, at 89,200, I'm looking at 88,200 here. At 89,200 here, I removed the zone because, of course, we've cleared through this now, so it's not relevant, the imbalance. But yeah, I tried to galaxy brain and wait for the low volume node, but it actually bounced at like 89,320. And it did a beautiful pump up here to 89,550. And I thought, oh man, I missed the entry to catch the galaxy brain bottom. And then, yeah, it absolutely nuked through. So, I tried to catch the bottom again. I had a limit order set here with a really tight stop. So it hit my order and then immediately stopped me out. So anyway, life story over. That was potentially a cool opportunity yesterday, but also something we can learn from. When I make these levels, yes, are they often spot on? They are, because they're not just arbitrary levels that I've made up. They're based on volume, they're based on price action, they're based on where trades actually went and where liquidity is. But at the same time, if you're seeing something start to play out, and let's say here, for example, we're at 89,200 and actually the price is at 89,750 and you see a big buyer start to come in and get supported, don't wait for that level. Just, be sensible, be pragmatic about it, use some common sense. And don't try and be greedy and don't try and galaxy brain it like I did. So just a good reminder for us all. Now, like I say, look, and then we came down here on the 4 hour, boom, bounced straight off our lower price imbalance here in low volume node. We set at 88,200. Beautifully bounced. Again, that's why I draw these lines, right? But at this point, I guess I would be surprised if we didn't come down and test 87,500. And then again, once, if we come down here, then it's a case of why not just come and sweep this liquidity as well before you go up and, you make a nice double bottom here, or what would it be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, you made a lot of bottoms here and you're bottoming out. However, right now it's make or break time, okay? These lower levels here, 86,240, or let's say even the bottom of this buy-side imbalance here at 85.8, sorry. That is our line in the sand. And if not, if we break through there, of course, we'll come back and we'll try to make a bounce off here, off like 80K-ish, 80,500. But it's more than likely that we will actually come back and retest this 74K level. But right now, it's make or break time. It really is. And the good thing for us from a bullish perspective is it's Wednesday. Wednesday, normally very good price action. Wednesday is normally bullish. So if there is any day for us to put in a pump here and start to save the day and start to retrace into this 4 hour sell side imbalance and come back and retest these zones and put in, higher lows, today is the day. We need to see an epic day. I can't believe I've just used the word epic unironically, but that's the truth. That's what we really need to see today. We need to see a big move put in. We need to see appetite come back to Bitcoin, and we need to see some big institutional moves. And then we need to see the people that have, decided that it's over to start FOMOing back in and start to change their perspective and blah, 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 blah. And in terms of plays, I'll still be looking for more of a mean reversion model because I think it will have the highest probability. But again, going into the New York Open today and it being a Wednesday, it being our make or break time, I'll be really cautious about how I move forward today and what kind of trades I take, and we'll play it by ear. But before we move on to the order flow, of course, which is going to be, the more specifics of where we'll look for entries and exits, let's just think about a few things as well about when I mentioned it's not as bad as everybody thinks. S&P took a dump yesterday. Trump's trying to invade Greenland. We've got World War III foot again. And we're still at 90K Bitcoin. And we've still got this market structure. Okay, it's taken a beating, but it's still, nicely intact. After all of that, doesn't seem too bad to me. But moving on to the order flow here, this is kind of what I'm looking at. So right now you can see that we're hovering around the VWAP, which is also the monthly value area low. This was our level we tried to hold yesterday before we nuked. Still early in the day, of course, so we've got our daily value area low here. And as we would expect, we're just sort of chopping in this zone, in this range. Now, how this plays out into the New York Open is going to give me an idea of where we're going to go. If we want to see bullish momentum, realistically, we'd want to see sell-offs into it, right? And then a big reversal going into the New York Open. So what would be amazing is maybe even something like this. Trade up into the daily point of control, you know, currently our value area high and also the weekly value area low, and do something like this. Come down and test the daily low, maybe the weekly low, as we're going into that, as we're going into that time, and we see something like doom, doom, doom. We sweep people out wherever the cards lie before there, and then we start to put in an impulsive move to the upside. What I don't really want to see is something like this beforehand. We test the daily low, the weekly low, and then going into the New York Open, we're doing something like this. Because then what we have to ask for at that point is for us to go doom, doom. And we do that often, but realistically, it'd be great to see sort of as dying off, slowing, you know, things slowing down, open interest going out of the market, and us getting prepared for, you know, big institutions to start bottom bidding here. Especially if we can hold this monthly value area low, again, maybe sweep, take some stops, sweep some liquidity around the daily low and the weekly low, and then just boom, pump to the upside. So there's going to be really two models there. One is looking for pumps where we feel like we're going to start reversing and looking to employ the reversion model, or likewise looking for us to come and sweep some lows, looking very tasty going into the New York Open and seeing some big volume. That's going to be the key thing. Does big volume come in? Because if this is like Monday again, with trickles and trickles of just zero volume, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, because any bit of pump will just get not only just shorted, but it will die out. You know, you'll get pumps to some arbitrary levels of, you know, your value area lows, your daily highs, and people will take profit. Positions will start to capitulate. People will pile on shorts and will just go downside. What we want to see at the New York Open is big volume coming. We want to see demand. We want to see people thirsty for Bitcoin. And if we don't, reversion model is going to be even, you know, there's going to be more confidence to just using a reversion model and us going even lower. So that's everything from an order flow side of things. Another one I just want to put people's minds onto again is the XMR Monero trade. So again, we caught the banger from the last video, and obviously we've seen a massive sell-off here from $800. We've come back down into this massive daily buy-side imbalance, and we've got the low volume node here at 490. There's also a couple of 4-hour buy-side imbalances in between here, which you can probably see the light green zones, and I put the low volume nodes in here. I've actually started to take a trade from 490 here. It's actually up quite nicely off this bounce. But these are going to be the zones here. Again, it's all going to be dependent on what Bitcoin does today, but these guys are going to crime this again. We've potentially got very good entries here, and also you've got you know, great invalidation. Okay, so again, if we look on the lower time frames here, so I've entered the trade here when we found support, come back and retested, and we're currently up a little bit. But my invalidation is we start breaking down and not holding this as where do I think we're going to go next? We're going to come down to our next zone. We've got a lot of low volume node clusters here together, which again we could look to sweep. But I think this is going to crime again. I think this is not going to be one that goes to zero. There's obviously the big privacy narrative still. You know, even another thing as well is you have to look like people made fun of this cycle with meme coins, with blah, 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 calling it the crime cycle. You know, you got to remember there was the Bybit hack as well. Like, and then we jumped to a privacy coin narrative. It's like, of course we did. We had the crime cycle and now it's privacy coin cycle. It's like, why do you think that's the case? Why do you think that's the case? Because where do you think all the money from the crime needs to go, right? Use your brain. That's why we've seen the price action that we have done. And again, I think the crime runs back on this. So we keep an eye on it. Again, take profits aggressively. We don't need to giga hold any of this. We're traders, not investors. But when the next impulsive move does happen on this, I believe it will be very, very, very strong. And if we can get entries, let's just zoom out. If we can get our entries, you know, round about here, let's put our little info line, and you know, somewhere around about here to the top, and even back to all-time highs, we can get a 64% move, 65% move, even on 10x leverage. Boy, are we printing, you know, and we're nicely positioned. So yeah, that's one to keep an eye on. And yeah, not much else to say other than you've got the playbook, you've got the levels, You've seen how they've worked so far, and we play it by ear, and we play the sensible move. Whether it goes up, whether it goes down, doesn't matter. There's opportunities to make money. So with that being said, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you in the books.